following isn't always everything, and I think that's what brands are starting to realize too. Like, just going to chase the biggest fish doesn't always net the best results. I think you need to, one, have a plan like we just discussed, but I think like in the wellness category and in the fitness category, I think brands are chasing community more than they're chasing following.
We probably made 4 bad hires, and it cost us probably $250,000 over the past 2 years. And then there's probably been 3 very specific scenarios where I pushed hard to go into new silos that we probably shouldn't have.
To an extent, we've been so respectful of that boundary to a point where maybe at times I feel like we're missing out by just not taking a shot. Like, it's one thing if it's a close relationship we have, but at the end of the day, if we reach out and a talent answers and they're open to having a conversation regardless of who their rep is, then you got to do what's best for Maxx Management.
Welcome to another episode of the Disruption Podcast. I'm your host, Ludwig Araujo, here with...
What's up? It's your boy, Ankur.
And today we have 2 very special guests. Maxx Management is in the house.
Sir.
Max, Alec, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Why isn't it called Alec Management?
Yeah, man, that was my first
I've
question.
been pushing for it for
That
a while.
must have been a fight.
That's our next iteration.
I was going to say, we might have to adjust the name down the road. You know, we might have to, if you're an Entourage fan like the Miller Gold Agency came together, we're going to have to do a second iteration of it.
So,
sure.
So you guys have been together. You guys went to school in Wayne, New Jersey. You grew up in Wayne?
Correct.
Yeah.
Were you friends back then?
Friendly, yeah. Grew up in similar circles. Like,
Damn,
we
he
were
was just like, I'm going to throw this out on the streets. He was like, friendly.
Friendly-ish.
Yeah.
we were 2 separate high schools. I was Wayne Hills. He was
Gotcha.
Wayne Valley. But definitely,
Who was better at football?
They were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the reality.
Hills like owns most records in Wayne. Their longest streak, all that. They crushed us.
For sure.
Got it.
For sure.
Got it.
But yeah, we were buddies. Yeah, we definitely spent some time, had some good times back in high school, middle school, high school. And then we were able to reconnect down the road, which is a whole nother crazy story.
Well,
that we'll
let's
get
talk
into.
about that, right? Because
Yeah.
high school happens, cool, you go on your separate ways. Just if you can give me some background, Max, what was Max high school Max like? What were you looking to do when you were...
He still had the same beard, for sure.
Yeah, with that beard.
Crazy enough, I did have a beard in high school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it didn't look like it does right now.
It wasn't like this,
he's
but I
always
did
had
have
it.
a beard
He
in high
didn't man
school.
groom back then, so the chest looked just like the beard, but he man grooms now.
Correct. I think there's 2 answers to that. I think the individual myself was just very immature and didn't really know at all, at least from an entrepreneurial side. But to the other side of that, I grew up in this business. So my father has been in this business about 30 years, representing NFL players as a manager, as an agent. That story is also really unique. My father started off as working at LT's restaurant by Meadowlands when Lawrence Taylor had his restaurant.
Yep.
Then just started setting up a couple different things for him on the marketing side, became his manager, put him in Any Given Sunday. That was his first major deal.
Were you on set at all for that?
No, I was only 3 at the time, and
Okay.
I don't think that was the right movie set to be on as a 3-year-old. But then, one thing led to another. Signed Tiki and Barber. Was in that space. So growing up, when we did know each other, I was going to Pro Bowls. I was going to Super Bowls. I was,
that's gotta be cool.
Tiki Barber at the height of his career was one of the great. One of the best Giants of all time, but obviously all-time players, during the early 2000s. So very unique childhood for me on that front. So anybody who knew me knew, though that was my aspiration. That's where I was going.
You were gonna get there eventually.
My entire life, it was in my 2nd, 3rd grade, yearbook and whatnot that said, I'm going to be a sports agent. I'm going to be working with athletes and talent. That was always the one thing that was constant. But I think the high school me, Alec and I always joked, especially once we really started to kick things off and get going, fortunately for both of us, the growth, the evolution of us becoming adults and professionals worked out for the best compared to who we were when we were younger.
What was going on with you?
Wait, no, before that, how do you ask him to bring you to the Super Bowl?
How do I ask him to bring me?
Is it like you just I'm going to wait for the right moment?
Yeah.
In terms of
When
now,
we were younger,
back
when,
then.
back then. Well, so back then we weren't like hanging out like that. So I would have never
So
asked
you were
him
just
to bring
watching
me.
from the
But
sidelines.
to what Max was kind of saying, separate towns, always ran in similar circles, had similar friends. But I always knew, like, you knew Max Lepselter was going to go on to be a sports agent. It just kind of was like written.
It was written,
Yeah, you just knew
Yeah.
the way that his dad was always involved. Even when I was playing football growing up in the Boys and Girls Club and things like that, Tiki would come to practice, was always around, and everyone knew. I mean, not many towns have an agent that lives in the town that represents talent that then play for the team that everyone roots for. So it was an interesting way to grow up. And Tiki was coming around, always at practice, doing things like that, showing up in appearances. So you always kind of knew Max was going to follow in those footsteps. And then as we got to high school, to college, we both saw what each other were doing, had similar interests in pursuing those careers. And then when we actually got out of college and started to take those first steps, it was, how do we find ways to work together? Whether it was when I was at the NFL league office, we started to work together, and that kind of just developed a professional relationship outside of the friendship that we had over the years and running those circles.
So is Maxx Management a family business? Did you just take over dad's? Or?
no. So that's actually unique. So 2 separate entities, but they work extremely close together.
Okay.
So back in 2018, spring of 2018, when I got out of college, I was working for a small marketing agency that actually started off on the digital side.
Okay.
That was their primary focus, similar to what your original iteration of what your marketing agency was. They had organic relationships with some athletes where they were trying to grow this sports marketing arm. I came out, I was basically heading it up, but they weren't really putting the resources in to make that part of the business grow.
Mhm.
And after 2 years doing that, I was figuring out, do I want to go work for one of the big 3-letter agencies like where Alec first started? Or, do I want to try and do my own thing? My father's business shifted back in around 08, 09, leaving the NFL agency side, management side, and went into broadcasting representation.
Oh,
So at that time, basically in 2017, 2018, it was still a little before like sports broadcasting really blew up to where it is now.
Yeah.
And, the amount of networks, platforms,
Prime
everything
and
else.
all that. Yeah.
So with that, my father and I were talking. He said, dude, you grew up in this. Like, it's always what you've wanted to do. Like, you're going to figure it out. I got your back. But it wasn't meant for what I was looking to do. It wasn't going to be under his business. It just wasn't the same kind of trajectory of where I was looking to go and what he was focused on at the time. So I started the company spring of 18, and it was predominantly to focus on marketing, management, and all off-field ventures for athletes on that front. And then now, fast forward, we work hand in hand with his business every day. Our business is now, I think, intertwined more than ever, crazy enough, 8 years later, because with all the growth of creators, the networks, all these different things, linear and non-linear broadcasting media crosses into talent, marketing, and opportunity, and so on and so forth. So 2 separate entities, but we fortunately get to co-represent talent and work together on projects on an everyday basis.
Talk a little bit about the fact that you get to work with your dad. I mean, how cool is that? The fact that this is like,
it's fantastic, man. I think the best part is being able to work with him, collaborate with him without having to work for him.
Yeah.
I think it's just, it's a very healthy relationship, healthy dynamic. I've always been very close to all my family, but my father, knowing that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think it's very helpful. And even just looking at the relationship that Alec has with Mark separately on that front, and how being able to have a conversation with him on that business level, having that respect for somebody who has humbly been one of the true originators, pioneers of sports broadcasting representation, and just, again, an individual who's been in this business for 25, 30 years. So to be able to have that kind of dynamic without it, I think, crossing too much into that father-son has been really helpful, and I think has been an asset for my personal growth.
now the two of you started the agency at the same time, or did you come in after?
No,
Alec?
no. So Max started the agency, 8 years
Yeah,
ago?
20 spring
18.
of 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been here now for 4 years, which is crazy. But prior to being here, I was at the NFL league office. And then before that, I was at Creative Artists Agency out in LA. So that's kind of where Max and I really, I would say, came back together after college. Was when I worked at CAA. I was in LA, but just having common knowledge of what each other were doing, both within the industry, doing separate things. At that point, I was working with more digital talent at CAA while he was still on the sports side. But just having that common knowledge of knowing that each other were, doing certain things like that. And then really when I got to the NFL league office, that's when we started to develop a further friendship, working more, routinely with his clients, booking them for campaigns and things like that. So that's when the relationship kind of really took it to the next level. And then I think it was October of 2020, we had met, like coming off the pandemic. That's when like everything really started to open up again. And we hadn't seen each other for a while. So he was like, let's go grab a bite. We met up and he was just like, I'm looking to expand. What are you looking to do?
That's when he got down on one knee.
And yeah, exactly. And I had always wanted to be back in the agency side. That was how it kind of, my trajectory went. I was at CAA, working in digital, wanted to get to sports. How do I get to sports? Went to the NFL. All right, now I want to get back to the agency side. And then that's how that all kind of came together.
I actually don't think I ever told him this, but it was awesome. At that point too, like I said, coming from this small agency, they didn't really have the chops or the relationships, especially within the NFL circles. And Alec knows this better than anybody. On the NFL player marketing front, it takes a lot of time to cultivate those relationships, to get in the door, whether it's the league buyers, the individuals like his former boss, Tracy Perlman, who's the senior VP on the marketing and comm side for the league, just to develop those relationships and to learn. And one thing I enjoyed, because coming from a place that didn't have that, then you're starting your own company at, I don't know, I was maybe 24, 25. And to have somebody that I knew on a personal level that was giving me and helping me, educating me and learning kind of these different elements of what to be looking for. And not just, hey, here, I want to get this appearance for my client, so we get a deal done, but understanding what the league is providing, what they're doing, and some of the back end initiatives was really cool on that front. And then, as he said, that dinner, that epic dinner, which also we're going to give a little credit to a mutual friend of ours who
put you guys together.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
very.
It was supposed to be like a meetup of all of us kind of getting together, but we had just ended up getting there earlier than the rest of the crew, and gave us time to sit down and really chop it up and talk about things. And he was just interested in like, what's next for you? What do you want to do next? Asking the right questions. And, I'd be lying if I said I didn't come in there already having some, agenda of like wanting to have that conversation.
You already you still had a job. It's not like you were unemployed, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
It was something you had to walk away from to join this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How was that decision like?
It was, I mean, like I said earlier, it was where I always wanted to be. It was on the agency side. And I think a lot of my, former colleagues that I worked with the NFL, they knew that like agency life was where I wanted to get back to. But it was difficult leaving them. I loved what I did there. Loved the crew that I worked with. Got to work with not only just Max, but every agency under the sun. If you represented NFL clients, I had to know who you were. I had to know who you represented. And I had to, bring opportunities. So made a lot of great connections, helped strengthen my network, which also leads to a lot of what we do on a day-to-day too. Like we represent clients exclusively, but being on the marketing side, we are able to be collaborative in nature and work with other agents, which is fun. So the relationships I made during those 4 years at the NFL are monumental to what I'm doing on a day-to-day. And then again, how Max said, like, which I never knew, but he said I helped educate him on certain things the NFL was doing, like having that insider knowledge. And then when we're pitching to clients now, part of our pitch, it's to be able to say, yeah, I worked at the NFL. It's what you do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
I know the ins and outs. I know who's calling the shots there. I know the resources that are provided that most players don't know. And that was part of my job there at the NFL, was to help educate current players, legends on what resources are there for you after you're done playing.
Right.
How can they help amplify what it is you're doing now to help build your brand? So those are all things that I use day to day and monumental to where I'm at right now. And I attribute a lot of the success that I have and will have to those years.
Part of your experience Looks like it was a perfect marriage, right? Because you brought to the table some of the things that you were lacking, right?
Yep.
One of the things too I see in the agency though is also how you're not just representing NFL anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the creative artist agency that you bought. Because now I see some like intersectionality between sports and fashion and music.
Yeah.
Was that intentional or is that like happenstance?
Definitely. I think we both have similar opinions on it, but I'll let Alec touch on it after as well. I think the evolution of just where it was 10 years ago than where it was 5 years ago, I think just the continued growth of social, but NIL coming in on the collegiate athlete side, what that did to the NFL player marketing, I think economy or kind of overall outlook of opportunity and what that did to it, and then the growth of creator as well as all these other platforms into even reality TV, how much all these different networks have just brought in all these shows, and all of a sudden you have talent after talent just blowing up on social, that good NFL players that were starters, you know, great performers on the field. How much is that transitioning into marketing? How much harder has that gotten to go get a partnership, a social deal, et cetera, for a NFL player that a brand can spend a quarter or fraction of the money, get much better return on if they're not investing into the athlete side. So it had been on our mind continuously, and I think year over year has really helped us kind of see the outlook of where the industry is and understanding this is the direction we want to go. And I think Alec has been on the forefront of that for the company.
Yeah. I think for me, it's always interesting to look back at where I started at CAA in digital packaging and brand partnerships. And I remember when I interned there, first week you're there, I'm a junior heading into my senior year. I moved out to LA for the summer. You're in your intern class. There's 33 of us, and they give you your assignment at the end of the first week. And they're like, you're going to be in this department, that department. And I was like, all right, I'm going to end up in, the NFL or the NBA department. That's 100% what I want to be.
Yeah.
And they said digital packaging and brand partnerships. And I was like, what the hell is that? I remember just being like, that is not what I put on my 1, 2, 3 was definitely not that. So go through that process. And that was like, was it 2015? So that's when like Vine was still a thing.
Wow.
They were representing the group I was with at CAA, representing Logan Paul, Liza Koshy, Amanda Cerny, like the height of like, like influencers when they're like really becoming influencers. And I remember being there and taking in all I could, but really just being like laser focused on like, how do I get to sports? How do I get to sports? Luckily for me, I met one of the agents within the department there, Matt Wind at CAA, absolute legend. Kind of took me under his wing that summer because he took a liking to sports as well. Like how could we chop it up and talk about sports? He ended up hiring me right out of college to work for him on his desk. And even then, my first, my 2 years at CAA, still working in digital packaging, working with influencers, but I was so laser focused on like, how do I get to sports? Like, how do I get to sports? How do I get to sports? Eventually did with the NFL, but it's funny how, everything comes full circle. Now I'm sitting here, 7 years later, 8 years later, thinking, how do I get creators?
Yeah.
Like, how do I get back to, how do I find the next Logan Paul?
Yeah.
Which they don't grow on trees, obviously.
But
so
when they do grow on trees, everybody's after them, right? So,
Correct.
Is there, can you talk a little bit about this type of competition that you guys have to deal with? There's exclusivity, and then I'm sure there's non-exclusive deals. But how are you finding the competition side of this?
I mean, it's similar to the NFL space. Like everyone's getting involved now. Everyone wants to be a manager.
Right.
You got connections. I mean, it's the world we live in right now. So it's tough. We have a lot of talent that we work with that don't want to be exclusive. And then we have to explain why it's beneficial to both parties. At the end of the day, too, like there are relationships where we will explore that are non-exclusive, but obviously you want to work with talent exclusively and make sure you're the one directing their career, directing their brand and everything. But I think it's difficult. It's a very challenging industry. It's hard to get in touch with talent. It's hard to sign them. They've got everyone in their ear. On the sports side, there's NIL now, so you got to get to them when they're early. They've got this family member, that best friend, this cousin that are involved, and there's a lot of a lot of people in your ear, no matter what kind of talent you are. If you're traditional talent, if you're an influencer, if you're an athlete, there's a million people in your ear that are telling you, I can get you better than what that person is doing. So it's really just trying to balance that, honestly, and set expectations. And I think part of it, Max and I talked about this, like even yesterday, is like, we need to find talent that align with who we are as a company. You know, on the football side, we're saying like, yeah, of course, we want the 5-star wide receiver at Ohio State. Who doesn't? You know, that's the goal, right? That's the gold standard, what we're looking for. But we also have to find the family-oriented grinder that matches our company dynamic, that we know we don't have to worry about jumping ship because someone's in their ear telling them that they have a better offer for them.
Right.
Like, I think that's part of a successful company, is finding people that identify with the brand of who the company is and the talent that also identifies with that. So I think that's something that we've tried to focus on, but by no means have we perfected it. And I think that's something that we will continue to get better at. And we'll gain clients, we'll lose clients. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. You guys are all homegrown Jersey guys.
Yeah.
So Giants fans?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's hope for us all.
Unfortunately.
That was the Giants fans, without even a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giants, Knicks, Yankees, Rangers.
It's not great for our health, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yankees for sure. Knicks. I mean, I grew up a Bulls fan, so Jordan.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes. Understand.
Grew up a Bo Jackson Raiders fan, so I'm a Raiders fan.
Okay.
And this guy's a Giants fan though, and a Knicks.
Now
And
you are?
Rangers.
So you just
And
recently decided? Why would you do
Where'd
that?
you switch
No,
from?
forever.
No, no. He's
I
right, he's right,
said
right.
now. I'm like, you just recently decided
From
to
the
do
moment
that?
they brought me
That
over
doesn't
to the
seem-
country, I was
Yeah.
a New York sports fan.
Yeah.
You know what I'd really like to get into, what I
Yeah.
think would be super interesting, is that as marketing agency side, you know, we represent, let's just say 50 brands, right? And you represent like 50 athletes.
Right.
Every brand comes to us is like, hey, like we want Ashton Hall. Whatever he just did with Saratoga Water, we want our version of that.
Mm-hmm.
But not every athlete is Ashton Hall
Right.
out there creating content, doing all the things that he's doing. How do you present your athletes to these brand owners? And then how do we educate our audience, which there's probably, 2,000, 3,000 brand owners that watch the show, just from the relationships that Ludwig and I have in our social media following, so on and so forth. But how do we educate them on how to approach you guys? And I mean, I've been in that shoe multiple times, and I've been on your side multiple times, and it's always such an interesting conversation. But I'd love to get your perspective.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we've been dissecting and working through is, and something Alec has been educating, I think, our team on, is situational awareness, who you're pitching and what opportunities you're pitching them for. If we get a casting up, are we putting forward actually the right talent that actually fit what that brand is looking for? Or are we kind of throwing a couple names that may have connectivity and seeing what may stick? I think we are truly trying to really match the right talent with the right opportunities. I think in the creator space, it's a lot easier because there's a lot more, I think, direct connectivity to specific brands, specific campaigns, specific initiatives, versus on the NFL player side, how many players are going to go beyond just having, the usual, I'm into fashion, I'm into jewelry, I'm into cars, I'm into gaming, like expand on that, right? That's something we tell a lot of our clients is let's go a little deeper into that. In what realms? Like, are you looking to walk New York Fashion Week? What does that look like? Are you into the outdoor side? What are you into from the content creation side? Are you willing to work on other platforms, or do you want to just be a regular athlete on IG? But I think on the creator side, we've been really looking at it, honing in and trying to actually ask the brand, instead of just pitching a name, what are your initiatives? What are you guys looking to accomplish? Do you have actually examples of talent that you see for your brand, or what kind of content has interests you guys in terms of aligning other forms of talent with your brand? And then I think we're able to ideate and actually come back to them with ideas and talent options that kind of make sense.
So just keep it 100 with me.
Yeah.
Do the brand owners actually know what they want?
I
in
think
that
there's a
conversation?
combination.
Some
would
do.
you say?
Some
I think
do,
there's
yeah.
definitely some that have real intel of what their looking for from talent?
I love my clients.
Yeah.
But maybe one out of that 50 knows what they actually want.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks like, okay, we want the Ashton Hall, or we want this, or we want that. And I'm like, all right, it's $2 million for the post. Are you going to put the money behind it? And do you know how to monetize?
Right.
And
Well, I think that's also where the integrated marketing side and actually
You have to
having
have the right things in place to succeed with these campaigns. I think that's the biggest piece. Like, you can't just rely on an athlete or a creator now to post about something and you're going to get a return. Like, I think there needs to be full 360. The company needs to know you got to put ad
Paid
money
media.
behind it. You got to strategy, everything. And I think the biggest thing too is also from our perspective is like asking the right questions too, not just like, what do you guys want? It's like, what's the goal of the campaign? Like, are you trying to increase brand awareness? Or are you looking for sales? Because if you're looking for brand awareness, I'm going to pitch someone different than sales. Like, that's just the reality. Then I might pitch an athlete if you're looking for brand awareness. But if you want direct, I'm spending 10,000, I want to triple that. Well, then I'm going to pitch a creator that probably fits the niche of what this product is. So I think there's asking the right questions and helping them maybe figure out what it is that they should be
a team
doing.
effort. It's a
and you
collaborative
already
effort.
have creators in your roster
Yes.
that can create those types of results.
Yeah. And along with that, as Alex said, I think early in the conversation, because being on the boutique side, not being at one of the 3-letter agencies, we work in collaboration with a lot of other agencies, management firms, marketing reps that oftentimes we are now trying to get more into the procurement side where we're going to a brand and saying, tell us a little bit, as Alex said, what you're looking for. We're going to come to you. We'll help ideate around the campaign. We'll help build it out with you, and we'll secure the proper talent and work on the negotiations with the talent, getting you best, I think kind of best deal points, both, for assets versus comp on that front. So the procurement side is something that we're very interested in because, as you said, I think a lot of brands, one, don't know what exactly they want, but they want to work with talent, and two, likely don't have the Rolodex of relationships to get to all realms of talent that can make sense. And we could be that bridge to helping those companies get who they want, even if it's not our exclusive client.
Well, let's switch gears to the creator side, right? What does a creator need to have in their resume or their CV before they come reach out to an agency like yours?
I mean, for me,
I know your answer, but I want to hear it.
yeah, like, bigger's not always better from following and things like that. Like, obviously, yeah, if you got 2 million followers, that's fantastic. But
Sorry, Ludwig, I don't think you make the cut, bud.
yeah,
No, not yet.
you may. Let me finish.
There's hope. There's hope, Ludwig.
Like, your following
still
isn't
hope.
always everything, and I think that's what brands are starting to realize too. Like, just going to chase the biggest fish doesn't always net the best results. I think you need to, one, have a plan like we just discussed, but I think like in the wellness category and in the fitness category, I think brands are chasing community more than they're chasing following and whatnot. Like, I think a micro creator with strong engagement with a community will drive further results. Like, I think we're starting to enter that age of, I'm not saying it was never there, but like, everyone's chasing community. Like, I think brands are more interested in, experiential experiences and getting people out and being like tangible and you can touch it and feel it and be part of something, as opposed to just a quick sales ad on Instagram that does nothing. Like, so I think that's part of it.
Let's dive into
And then
that a
I
little
think
bit
the
more. Like,
content side,
how
too.
does a creator come to you and prove that they can create community?
I think it's more us.
It's
to be
part of
honest with you.
it's part of our job to help guide them towards that, truthfully. But hopefully they already have the groundwork. Someone with no following isn't going to come approach us and have that conversation. Hopefully they have something there that we can see.
And I think it's us usually, in fairness, probably other flip the script there where we're recruiting them versus them coming to us. At the end of the day, if it's a talent that's looking to just come to us and have a conversation, likelihood in the back of my mind is I don't have too much confidence that it's it's the right talent,
yeah.
because if there's somebody that has that, agencies are reaching out to them,
Mm.
and our competitors are going to want to represent them. I think it's for us to analyze, pitch them, and explain why we're the agency they should sign with to help them grow their brand, help them grow their business, and to be the agents in place to really kind of lead their ship on that front.
So you don't feel it's like that exact same scenario where a kid is like in 5th grade and he's just crushing it, but like someone just recognized him as a diamond in the rough. There's no like creators out there that you guys would.
Oh yeah, there's
Like,
certainly
it
there
definitely is.
certainly are, and that kind of goes back to what, like, when I'm speaking to the team about our general direction, it doesn't always have to be. I mean, the ones with the big following, everyone's in their inbox chasing them, or they already have exclusive representation and whatnot. So yeah, you have to find the one that becomes, right before they blow
I
up.
think you would be very surprised how little the amount of messages there are in their DMs for this type of stuff.
Then the creators'
Yeah.
inboxes.
I mean, we must know 7,000 plus creators that constantly reach out to us for content deals, UGC, CGC, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, like, is there a manager that represents you? Do we work with someone? They're like, no, will you manage us? And I'll be like, honestly, we just don't have the bandwidth
Right.
to deal with the whole section. I'll just keep sending you guys deals for whatever you guys need.
100%.
But there's no one reaching out to that audience unless they're breaking to that the tier A level
Yeah.
tier. Then everyone's in their DMs, so on and so forth.
And I think, like Alex said, finding and figuring out, okay, where is that point of they're small enough that we can get in now, but do they have the upside? And again, like bandwidth, how many different talent can we sign that we can take that chance on to invest our time, invest our resources, and everything else in hopes of them getting to that next level.
Can we use Ashton Hall as a Ashton Hall?
Yeah.
As a case study? Someone like that who starts to gain traction, right? At some point, what are you guys doing for someone? Like, are you watching? Do you see him? See a few of those videos go viral? Do you reach out? Do you DM him? Are you cognizant of, like, what's the...
Yeah, always aware. I think that's part of our job, is to always kind of be aware of what is going on in the industry and seeing that. Obviously, he became a phenomenon overnight with just the videos, and honestly caught a lot more fame for almost in a negative way, where people wanted to hate on it more than
1000%.
support it, which unfortunately is the world we live in today. And that is part of the social first age that we live in. So, but yeah, it's our job to know what's going on out there. And for me, and it's probably a something I need to get out of, is like, I'll see someone that big, I'll be like, oh, they probably already have marketing representation. Like, not even gonna take the shot.
Yeah.
Or if I do know they're with someone, and again, how we've been saying, we're very collaborative in nature. We never want to be the agency that's poaching clients or reaching out. And we try to use our connections to get to talent, sometimes more than just a DM.
Gotcha.
Because you just never know.
And that's,
who's
I think,
with
been a
who.
huge asset to the company's growth over the years. And a lot of clients we've gotten have been by way of other introductions. But I definitely agree. I think the other thing that we've constantly talked about to an extent, it's the boundary of kind of all is fair in love and war.
Yeah.
And also not poaching, but I think to an extent we've been so respectful of that boundary to a point where maybe at times I feel like we're missing out by just not taking a shot. Like, it's one thing if it's a close relationship we have, but at the end of the day, if we reach out and a talent answers and they're open to having conversation regardless of who their rep is, then we got to do what's best for Maxx Management. We got to pitch ourselves.
Yeah.
And Alec and I both always have said, if there's somebody there that we get, if we take a call at them, they tell us what they have going on, and we look at it and we're like, I don't know how much more we can elevate. They're doing a good job. Maybe, like, you're good. But if it's somebody who's telling us, I don't think I'm getting this service, I don't think I'm getting help here. I think a lot of creators are trying to build more of a business and a brand than just kind of these constant one-off deals.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we say, as representatives, that's where we do stick out in being a boutique agency, because we do a lot in the venture space. We do a lot in the brand building component. We do a lot in the managerial side, lifestyle, et cetera, where we actually can bring more of an all-encompassing representation component to it versus just, hey, large deals, small deals, intermediate deals, whatever that looks like. But if you're only getting deal flow, a lot of talent at this point, they're like, a lot of agencies can bring me deal flow. A lot of just like we always say, there's the NFL, as I referenced earlier in the conversation, the NFL buyers and the buckets. A lot of people know where to go, and a lot of people know their contacts, just like in the creator space. In each vertical, a lot of agencies know the companies that are activating there, and it's our job to pay attention. I'm on social more than I would like, but I'm on social so much because I'm constantly sending ideas to my team and seeing, this is what I'm seeing. This is my idea of, hey, I saw this creator go live with this. I think client X can make sense. Hey, I saw this go live. We should connect with this brand and get an understanding if we what their initiatives are if we're not having conversation. So I think being able to flirt with that line, but definitely something we've said in 2026, we do want to take more shots. And knowing what we've been able to accomplish and our ascension into the creator space, I think the success we've had and the services we offer, I think we can have a lot more success if we actually press the gas pedal a little harder.
You mentioned that you were a boutique agency several times. How big is your agency now? Like how many employees?
Eight full-time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. And in terms of the platforms that you pay attention to, is it Twitch, everything?
Everything.
Yeah. I think IG, YouTube.
Yeah, and TikTok are the big,
primary.
the big three. We, Twitch, less of a focus for us just because gamers aren't really our focus. We work with a couple, different agencies in that world. And I think pandemic, that was huge. A lot of athletes were on there living in that world. I think it slowed down a little bit. It had a massive boom. And then I think it kind of leveled off for a bit. So yeah, not really too much focus on that, but the big three: YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
How does the event stuff play into what you do? Because are you pairing events, creating events,
Combination.
planning?
Yeah.
Planning, collaborating on events, but we've built out, we had one of our clients, the fashion space, where we basically had built out his own fashion runway show. On that front, we've done different forms of, whether it be Super Bowl events to regular season NFL launch events with companies like Whistle and DAZN, where we've kind of collaborated there. So there's some that we're building out our own for our agency. There's some we're building out our own events on behalf of our clients. And then there's many that we're collaborating as an agency with other companies to build out events and experiences. And I think that's another area I'd like to see us continue to ascend into based on, I think, where experiential is and where that's going, and how I agree with Alec that a lot of companies are looking to bring that, have that direct feel, have that direct touch. So I think it's going to be important for us to continue to provide that, utilizing our resources.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of synergy happening over there at Maxx Management. Right? A lot of things are going right for you guys. What has gone wrong?
You know what? I think there's a lot to that. I'm going to touch on my thoughts, and then Alec can absolutely touch on his.
Okay.
I think one, and I think it's actually, I think we've kind of crossed over into a lot of it over the course of this conversation. One is everybody, more is not always more. And having a team that I think truly does have the same mindset, the same understanding, and the same goals, truly, as cliche as it is so important, especially in this space. And I think the different barriers and hurdles that we have to cross, it's really important for us to do so. And at times, I think, even though being a small agency, but having 8, 9, over the course of the last couple of years, 6, 7, 8, 9 employees at different times that are growing in different areas and just different forms of talent, evolution of where the business has gone, I think at times has slowed us down as much as I would have liked it to have picked us up and kind of gotten us to the next level. And then I think the other side is that word boutique, as much as we are and we're growing and we have so many enormous resources, how do we continue to position ourselves against the competition to get that next client? And at different times, for better or for worse, on both sides of that, we've had some clients that have parted with us, that we've parted with. We've had some fantastic signings, some that have been clients for 5, since almost inception of the company. How do we continue to get that next level of big talent, and then how do you continue to, again, grow out these different buckets of events, experiential? How do we continue to grow into the creator space while maintaining?
Your answer is we're not growing fast enough.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
that's not what went wrong.
That's like that.
That's
That's the
that's
interview,
a
right?
cop-out answer, bro.
That's
Come
where
on,
I would
let's
I would
dig
say
into it.
yeah, that's where I would
Let's,
say
let's hear his.
for me, like trying not to grow too fast, I think is what.
Look at you two, yin and yanging. This
Well,
is
that's
great.
where I think we
It's like,
spend
what's
a lot of
what's your
time.
negative trait? And you're like, I just always want to be on time, and I work too hard.
I think for us, and that's why it works, is we do balance out each other out in certain situations. Max is like, let's go, go, go. And sometimes I'm like, let's pull back a little bit.
Mm.
You know, like
Yeah, we have that same dynamic. Yeah.
we only have a certain amount of resources and revenue and things like that. So we have to spend it wisely. We're not in the place where we can always do big things. So I think for us is figuring out like, how do we stand out in this industry where, as I just said, there are a million people popping up every day that want to be doing what we do or have connections. So how do we make the right calculated decisions? Do we make another hire? Do we not make another hire? You know, like
If we do make that hire, where does that hire need to be?
Yeah.
What skill sets? What do they need to be? What part of our business do we need to make that hire within from that standpoint?
yeah, is this the right client to sign? Is it not the right client?
Don't
to
worry,
sign?
guys. I'm gonna coach you through this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
help. Okay. We probably made 4 bad hires, and it cost us probably $250,000
Yeah.
over the past 2 years. And then there's probably been 3 very specific scenarios where I pushed hard to go into new silos that we probably shouldn't have. We were probably too early to jump into that. And we survived it. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it required a lot of sleepless nights and so on and so forth. But I think the realization I'm having is this work-life balance is so important because guys on my team that need to be creative, they can't be creative if they're burnt out.
Mhm.
Right. And I mean, sure, I can give everyone every fringe benefit in the world of like unlimited coffee from Dunkin' and like having every protein shake you could imagine in the fridge and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's the consistency of providing work-life balance that's probably been the hardest thing for me.
How do you also balance that with family?
Well,
So you got a wedding ring on as well. How do you balance
And the
that?
baby due next month or in 2 months.
yeah, so my firstborn
Congratulations.
is coming January, February.
Girl or boy?
It's a boy. And
I have 2 girls, 2 under 2.5.
Oh, it's the best.
So I'm in the throes of it. So balance is that word is key, man.
anything I
key.
tell you about how I'm managing it is total BS. I don't have a real answer for
Whatever
it
you say,
whatsoever.
it's
I think
opposite.
I think my wife would semi-agree as well.
I mean, McConaughey says this whole thing with buckets, right? And he checks his buckets, what's running low, and he fills
Yep.
his bucket. And he's got his bucket, he's got work, he's got friends, he's got
Yeah.
his creativity bucket, so on and so forth. Man, it's a straight up struggle. Like I don't understand
hard,
how to
man.
manage the level of buckets, but
It's very hard.
you know, in true vulnerability, it's my fault, right? I'm choosing to have that many buckets, and I mean, I don't know if there's a solution to it, but Ludwig has his tricks, right? If he sees me on the verge of being hangry, he'll just throw a Snickers bar in my face.
Yeah,
and it
man.
works every time. Literally, he'll
Food.
just look at me and be like, "Have you had a meal today?"
And that's the
They're truly
beauty. That's the
us.
beauty of the partnership, right? And I look at you two guys, and the more we talk, the more I see us and you.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
and I'm sure that you know when he's stressed
Mhm.
and when he needs to chill out.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know when he's at his max.
Oh yeah.
And then just like in a relationship with your significant other, you're like,
Truly.
hey man, let me step up and cover this for you because you need a break.
Mhm.
And we do that for each other. One of the things for him is, making sure he understands he needs to even open up his laptop at the house and not come in here with it, and spend more time with his expecting wife.
Yep.
And I'll be like, hey man, stay home. You don't need to come here. I got this here, or whatever the case is.
If I can give you any advice on that, bro, it is don't miss a second of it. Work is just like I get it. It's the same on my end. Like this is my baby. I've built this, and I want to see it keep growing. You have done that numerous times, it seems like, but once you have your son, just make sure you are present and doing everything. Even I've continued to try from my first to my second and constantly learning the importance of really just trying to be present. I think but now my older one's 2.5, and I can just see she knows even if I'm there, but I'm not there.
Yeah, she
She
knows you're checked
knows.
out. Yeah.
Oh, she absolutely knows. Like you're really not present. You're on your phone, etc. And I'm really trying to find a continued healthy balance of working harder but smarter, and making sure I am present for my family.
Do you guys have a central office you report to, or you guys both
We're
work
working
from home?
remote right now.
Yeah.
I've constantly have actually asked and said, are we ready to get back in an office? And Alec has, rightfully so, continued to say there's just no point.
I mean, Alec, just so you know, upstairs there's some empty office spaces.
Yeah, we'll be stopping by
Yeah.
for sure. I took a look at that when we were stopping in.
Let me ask you this question. Point blank, in mistakes and like the rise of the company and where you guys are going, just assume that we had a bag of magic fairy dust. We're obviously in a complementary agency scenario, right?
Yep.
If I could solve any one problem for your agency in 2026, what would you choose and why? And then I'm going to give the reverse answer because mine's really easy.
I'm going to give you the floor first.
Yeah. So if I could just wave the magic wand and anything I want.
Well, we're the ones that are going to wave the magic
Kinda
wand.
says
But you have to ask.
the pixie dust.
Right?
I mean, the obvious answer for me would just be, I feel like sometimes we just don't have the horses in the stable to like get the deals that we should be. We have the resources, or we have the network and the relationships to know where it's at. Just sometimes we don't have the talent ready for these deals. So I think for me, it's like let's get those all-pro receivers. Let's get the quarterback. I always say, imagine if the deals that he's been able to accomplish over the years for really good clients, but
Guys
none
that
of them are
shouldn't be in the
Josh.
situations they
Can
were
we
in.
quantify that though?
Yeah.
Because how big are the stables? How many types of deals? Like, are you coming to us saying like Celsius is asking for 50 first, 5-star athletes?
Yeah.
We don't have access to the 55-star athletes.
I think it's kind of just like, it's more of seeing what is out there in the industry, like seeing Josh Allen at the start of the NFL season literally post like almost 7 consecutive Instagram reels of partnerships, not one-off deals, legitimate partnership, national campaigns,
commercial campaigns.
And I'm like, we can do that. We just don't have Josh Allen. So I'd like you to wave that wand and get me Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. That's really what I think we're missing to take that next step.
I know you're going to keep going. Let me just interject because I do have this question that's been in my mind this whole time. What does Josh Allen has a manager that manages and gets an agent that gets his contract with the Bills, right?
He's got a contract agent. He's got a marketing agent.
He has a marketing agent
Correct.
separate. There's no scenario where the contract agent handles the outside stuff.
Not for guys of that level, and they definitely shouldn't. Just because at the end of the day,
is there a managed? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Is there a management marketing agency that's crushing it in NFL that you're competing with, or is it just a bunch of guys out there?
Yeah, I would say there's probably, we can name a handful of like big power players that are outside of the big
They don't do
contract
contracts,
agencies that are strictly on the off-field front from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. And then that's just the NFL. Then there's NBA. Then there's golf. Then there's that.
Yeah, I think on the NFL, I think at the end of the day, that's where our relationships are. We've always said NBA is very hard to break into because it's a quarter, it's a fraction of the players, and a lot of the agencies really manage their clients in-house off-field, whereas NFL player marketing over the last 5 to 8 years has shifted and been more open to that kind of separation. Baseball, you got maybe 10 guys who are going to be marketable, if that, and actually have.
That's all the worst.
And same with hockey.
Golf
is a very unique one that we've, I'm working on a deal right now, and it's literally yesterday, potentially a 2-year, 1.5 deal for a guy who's on the Ryder Cup team. Company in the financial space that we do a lot of the procurement for, and the representation of handling the contract negotiations, execution. They handle the production, ideation, and they basically go to the brand and say, we're going to handle it all. And then we basically have our talent recruiting arm that'll bring in and will match the talent we provide them and kind of handle that. So with that said, the lift was relatively light. I'm talking 4-hour production, couple posts, 1 couple-hour media day session, and placement on, I think, bag and maybe like left sleeve for the course of the year.
Yeah.
For over $750,000 a year for that. Like, I'm thinking to myself, shit, we're in the wrong business. We are in the wrong business. And the manager was a gentleman, and he's like, I'm not even trying to, like, it's all like completely okay if the deal doesn't happen, like genuine. And I know, and it's my job as an agent is to know, like, all right, is he is he
Is he
actually,
negotiating? Yeah.
what's the
tactic?
situation?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, this guy is genuinely completely okay if this 1.5 2-year deal just goes by the wayside for that little ask. And I'm just like, yeah, it's hard. But then the reality is, how hard is it to break into the golf space and just pop in and be able to
You don't want to deal
handle
with the golf mafia, man. They'll come get you.
we've seen an enormous upshift in like the golf creator space and the amount of
Probably pickleball too, or something like that,
dude,
right?
Yeah,
there's
it's
just
another one.
there's so many different realms of that, and I think it's knowing, all right, where do we try and prioritize? What are those silos of talent
Yeah.
that we really think we can break into, have that effect? And then I agree, it's having that talent and then knowing where the buyers are, the brands are. We have those contacts, we have those relationships, but we just haven't had the perfect matches for the brand to be like, hey, we're going to give you that $500,000 deal, or hey, we're going to come to you for, you have, I think the final thing I'll say that's been a minor struggle for us getting into the creator space is there's a lot of agencies out there that have huge rosters of talent. And we've noticed that different brands and brand agencies, instead of working with Maxx Management, this one, that one, you know what, we're going to work with these two agencies because they already have 30 talent that fit our demo. Even though Maxx Management might have that one client, that one talent that could fit very well, does agency B have at least something close enough? And we're already doing 7 deals with them. Let's just do the
Just
deal
give
with
them the
them.
whole budget and
Just
make
give
it
them the
easier.
whole budget, make it easier, let them manage it.
Yeah.
We trust them. So that's where I think not having the horses in the stable has been a struggle for us. And that's been the challenging part with our
I'm so
our
impressed
growth.
with your vulnerability right now.
Appreciate that.
That's awesome.
It's come a long way
100%.
over the last 6 minutes.
That's
I mean,
right.
that's a
That's huge,
genuine
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a genuine problem,
Yeah.
right?
Yep,
And
it is.
Ludwig, what would you say our answer is?
On our side, what
If they had a bag of magic fairy dust,
um
which of course Max does because he knows where all the bodies are buried.
He does.
Without a question. Northern New Jersey?
so you know
Just call Tommy Cutlets
You're-
his agent, right?
Exactly.
your agency,
Correct.
and he alluded to it earlier, the fact that we can send you so much business. Our job is to help CPG brands and other brands and companies grow their business, and one of the ways to do it nowadays is with influencers and athletes. And we are struggling mightily, even though we've had our own stable of influencers over the years, and we have our connects to get into that new space. I mean, these younger, newer, these names that are popping up. I've been through your website and I've seen some of the people you represent. We don't have access to that, and to fill that void, I think is where we lack.
It could be truly, all jokes aside, a fantastic match because, like I
100%.
said, our want of continuing to grow into the procurement space, to be that company, to be that asset to an agency like you guys, whereas you said, you don't have the bandwidth to want to have to deal with talent and really look outside of that. You organically are throwing some deals in to some talent, just because it's at the tip of your fingers. But to be able to say, hey, you're going to call us and say, all right, here's what our brand is looking for. Here's baseline. You guys come to us with the true idea that makes sense here, and you guys give us a true talent list that could make sense here, whether it's your clients or your 1 degree of separation that you can handle and put a deal together for. That actually can solve problems for both of us and help
1000%.
both companies.
I was gonna say you just have to help me have Ludwig have like a lifetime supply of Snickers.
It's easy.
If you could just make
you
a
guys
phone
have
call-
Snickers?
Like a Snickers ad read right now?
If you gave me a lifetime supply of Reese's, we are.
Yeah.
Oh, there it
It's-
is.
I do know a guy, so that we could make that one happen.
Listen. I would be a very happy guy. I don't know if he would or my wife would, but I'd be a very happy individual.
Can you solve a question for me that like I told you before, I was on your side
Yeah.
7 years ago
Yeah.
for about 3-4 years, right up until the pandemic, managing an influencer. I had one influencer and she was getting crazy deals. One of the big questions, the number one question that comes up, and I'm sure it still comes up now, when you manage an influencer, the brand that's going to spend $10,000, $100,000, $1.5 million, their number one question is, am I going to get a return? And how do you guys quantify that now with whether it's on the branding side, if it's just branding or if it's sales? How are you guys answering that? I knew back then it was a wild, wild west, and someone like a Paige Hathaway can put a post up and sell thousands of dollars of supplements. Is it still that? Is it still translating the sales? Is it easy to convert on that end? And are you able to quantify that and confidently say yes to
I think earned media is so enormous, but Alec, you
Yeah, I think something that the industry as a whole needs to do is getting a bit more transparent about numbers and analytics. And we're always asked as the talent managers to send, screenshots of how the post performed.
Yep.
That's easy stuff
Remember
to
that,
do.
yeah.
Anyone can do that. I think for us is being able to get more actual case studies from brands, and a lot of times they can't share everything that goes on. I know that there's when it's an agency working with a brand, there's certain things that they can't share. But for us to be able to build case studies and say, like, actually this performed, I feel like a lot of times in conversations between brands and agents, you get the deal done and then you never really know how it performed.
Yep.
They don't tell you. They don't. If it did perform, why did it perform well? If it didn't, why didn't it perform well?
And then at times we don't hear back from those companies if it didn't perform well.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you guys approve the content,
Yeah.
and there's times we've looked at it and said, the content looks really good. If it doesn't perform, I get it, but walk us through that. And if so, why is that our fault? Because we have felt.
We did everything right. We did the copy, you approved it.
Especially
we did the content, you
if
approved
they
it.
don't, if they're not allowing creative freedom to the creator too, or the athlete. I think that's a big piece too. Like, you gave us a brief, we followed it. Did you put the right stuff behind it? That's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, is there a full thought out process instead of just, creator, athlete, good following, it's going to work.
Right,
That's just not how it works anymore.
Max, we're going to launch a new business,
I'm ready.
right? It's going to be a athlete or creator combine and a brand combine. And we're going to make
a
sure
summit?
they're actually ready for each other,
Yeah.
because they are never ready for each other.
No.
Yeah.
The reason that these deals fail, at least in my opinion, is because both sides are so uneducated on the expectations of how to make this work.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, on our end, we just don't have the bandwidth to hold everyone's hand across every deal. It's just not possible for us. I almost require brands to have no say. They give us full control.
Yeah.
And then if the results don't happen, it's on us, right? And then if you fire us at that point, we totally get it.
Completely understand.
But there are so many brands that I turn down that won't give us full control because they want to have a say in the creative, or they want to be at the shoot.
And they know not what they do.
They do not know. It's like, we really want to wear that white T-shirt. I'm like, no one's going to buy anything. If you're wearing the
Or
white
they write
t-shirt.
this copy and the copy just doesn't translate, doesn't sound right, doesn't make sense. And you're like, no, let's cut this out, let's do this. Or they want creative direction on the production side.
Bro,
Which,
Doritos and Cheetos just went like full organic and like a healthy version. They took out all the stuff. People have been eating these yellow triangles for as long as I can remember. Why are you ruining this whole? No one. They don't care about healthy chips.
Yeah.
Right.
They're coming to you because they don't want the healthy chip.
yeah.
And so I mean,
Don't be what you're not.
but I feel like
Keep the main thing the main thing.
But I feel like
Keep
if
the
there's
main
an
thing the
athlete
main thing.
or a creator combine, that for us to now have like rates and ratios of like who can do what, and at that point you go to a brand. Of course, the top 10 performers in the combine are going to get the deals.
No question.
Let's set it up. New event.
Yeah, there you
New
go. That's
event.
our next iteration of events and experience.
Look, we just disrupted on the Disruption
That's right.
podcast. 23 different agencies are going to steal this idea now and do something.
We got to
with
get
it.
to work before this airs.
Correct.
So, I mean, do you guys have any questions for us? I mean, I feel like we've been kind of posing a lot of questions for you guys.
No, I personally, obviously, a lot taken. This has been a absolutely fantastic conversation. I think
Yes.
you guys have really, obviously, a lot more I want to learn. Off camera on the business and everything you do and how we can collaborate. But it's really been a enjoyable conversation around
Yeah.
the industry as a whole.
To be honest, I think I would go another hour really getting to know you guys and figuring out these pain points. But we could do that off camera anyway.
And we can come back on any other time too.
No doubt.
So you guys are Jersey, Northeast, but
Yeah.
handle athletes locally.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, anywhere.
Nationwide.
Is the
Any-
goal
any
one day to
market.
have like a LA office or
we
Florida?
have one of our
One employee out there.
Oh,
employee
nice.
there, somebody in Dallas, somebody in Miami right now. So
They're all remote, so there's no giant sign anywhere.
yeah.
True that.
But
Nice.
Besides maybe my home office.
but for the people that are watching at home, how do they find you guys online if they want to learn more about your story, about the people that you're repping? Do you have a newsletter? Like,
We do. We've been talking about that so much like a year ago. I was like, should we do a
time.
newsletter?
Yeah,
And,
it's time.
and every 5 minutes, like a new newsletter comes in our inbox, and Max is like, forward. I'm like, yeah, I saw it.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's time. I
Yeah,
think we have
no,
enough there, but-
100%. You can find us on Instagram at Maxx MAXX_MGMT. We have our website, maxxmanagement.co. Everything we are is .co.
.co,
So
yeah.
don't mess that up, or you'll send an email to the wrong person,
gonna
or
bounce
end up on the
back.
wrong
or
site.
too many X's, and you'll definitely end up.
Yeah.
on
Too
the
many,
wrong website.
yeah, definitely
The
stop
double X
after
is how I've
2.
always-
Stop
that's
after
how
2.
I've always
If you've
stood
hit 3,
apart.
you've gone too far.
Correct.
But yeah, that's how you find us.
Awesome.
Really appreciate this,
I
guys.
appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys
Absolutely.
coming on, taking the time.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of the Disruption Podcast. We'll talk to you guys soon.